Hi, and welcome to this week's Money with Alpha episode. Something that inspired me for this week's topic was gardening. I know that sounds kind of strange, but I've been really digging into my garden over the last couple of weekends, and something that became really, really obvious, and I know it should be anyway, is that the more attention I put to it, the better the garden is. We've had a really, really hot, wet summer here in Brisbane, which has created all sorts of other fun environmental issues, what bugs that I don't normally see. I've never had snails in my garden before, but this year I've had snails. And it's really kind of and for part of it we're away, and then part of it I was sick as well through New Year's in January. So I hadn't really given my garden much attention. And what I noticed was so many weeds were growing. All the mulching that I'd done in the last season had kind of all disintegrated or soaked in. We just wasn't there anymore. And some of the plants that I was trying to grow just weren't really growing, and others that usually are beautiful and lush were just covered in stuff that shouldn't have been there and holes from bugs eating it. And I was just getting so frustrated because I love going out into the garden and just picking. I'm one of those strange people who I really love kale. I don't care if it's purple kale, curly kale, flat kale. I love just eating it straight off the plant. And I had my kale, one of my plants I had to completely remove because it was decimated by some, I don't know if it was spider or moth or combination. And then I had this little fledgling plant that was trying to grow. And even my silver beet and my spinach were being covered in slugs and anyway, all sorts of things that I had to try and deal with. And because I'd spent quite a bit of effort then over the last 2 weekends dealing with it, I noticed already an improvement in the first week. Less bugs, more green leaves that I could actually eat. And this was something I thought, oh my goodness, this really, really also applies to money. And to be honest, life in general. If you think about every area of our life, the more attention and we pay to it and focus we give it, the healthier it is. You think of your relationships. If you and your partner don't actually sit and have proper conversations, if you don't talk about money, if you don't sit down with your children and find out what's going on with them and have discussions with them. I sit down with my daughter every day because we do learning at home. So we had a bit of a interesting entry into the schooling sort of environment and learning, and she now goes to a school that works on a different sort of curriculum. So in order to kind of help bring her up with her reading and writing, my husband and I have been doing quite a lot of work with her at home. But because of that, I get to talk to her and spend time with her, and we have discussions, and something we're reading or we're writing about might just trigger a topic that she wants to talk about, so we go down that path, and it's actually really, really nice. So it's fostered a love of learning for her, and then also a connection that I may not have ordinarily had. So that focus and attention's actually been really, really positive. The same thing goes with what you eat and how you exercise. I've made a conscious effort to focus more on my nutrition this year. And already I see, my body's a little bit different, my skin's a little bit different, and I feel a lot better. It's a bit of a bumpy road when you start and your body like craves things. Whereas now I don't tend to have the same kind of cravings. I don't snack the way I used to. I still do like my dark chocolate. I haven't quite figured out that one yet, but I'll get there. Even though I do love it, I figure I don't eat much else and I have the chocolate that it's a different kind of sweetness in it too. But anyway, but it's just more that focus and attention. And the same thing really goes with money. If it's something that you constantly avoid and you don't want to think about it and it's too hard and you put it in that basket of, oh no, I'm not, it's this thing, and it will grow bigger and bigger. Issues that don't get dealt with tend to become bigger just by nature of not dealing with them. Your handbag, my handbag in particular, gets end up full of stuff if I don't actually go through it regularly and empty it out. And I wonder why it's so heavy and full. There's usually shells or rocks or empty packages or something else in there that's just built up over time. And occasionally you have to go and clean it out. And then with your money as well. I mean, even myself, I have a lot of things that set up, but I have to go back in. And sometimes it's just once a year, sometimes it's more regular than that. And actually have a look at things. What have I got set up? Where have I got everything? Is everything in the places? Do I understand it? Are things that I want to automate? Is the automation still working? Do I do it at the right time of the month? Is it all like how can I better manage things to make my life a bit easier? And also, where am I sitting? I do portfolio reports for myself every quarter. I also do them for my parents because I manage their kind of overarching finances as well. And it's important to actually have a look at, take a step back, see it all there and go, okay, all right, what's in my super? Do I even know? I look quite regularly, so I do know. What of insurances do you have in your super? Has your binding nomination, is it, if you have one, which I hope you do, is it still valid? Things like that you look at sort of every now and then. Do I have a valid will? Yes, no. Do I know where it is? I actually thought about that the other day. I was like, oh no, that's right. It's with my lawyer. Do you have a valid enduring power of attorney? Do you have all of your other wishes that you want written down, and are they stored in a safe place? Things like that. I know it doesn't sound particularly exciting to think about, but once those things are sorted, it actually frees up your mind and the level of overwhelm starts to decrease. You focus just a little bit of attention on your money and your finances, and little by little, the issues become smaller. The stuff that you need to deal with is dealt with. And then all you're left with are the things that you need to do on a regular basis. Like we need to monitor our spending, have a look at when things come in, look at the applications that we're using in our business. Do we really need two things that do similar things? There's social media scheduling tools which are free. Depends on what you want to do. How do you manage your time? I use Trello, and I use the free version of it because I don't need more than 10 boards. I manage things quite simplistically, which is why I called my business Money Made Simple, because I like simple. As soon as stuff gets complicated or too much is going on, I feel like I have to just close my eyes. Like it becomes a bit too much. So I've had to make sure that things become simple, and that I have my post-it notes every day. I write what I need to get done on them. I actually did that last night. I was getting a bit tired by about 9:30, and I thought, you know what, at the very least, I need to write down what I need to get done the next day, so that the next day feels productive. And how something feels is general. It's that perception is reality. And then as soon as I get to cross things off, I'm like, oh yes. So I've got a few things on my list I haven't crossed off yet, but it's really just past midday. So I can still see that I have the time and the energy to devote to getting the things off the list. And the same thing with your money. If you just start to write down on it, just a post-it note or a piece of paper, you could even just put it as a note in your phone. Although I like post-it notes because they're more in your face. Just the three things that you want to be able to do, even if it's every month scheduling, and this is just the activity of putting the time in your calendar. That's step one for when you're going to look at your finances. And it could be maybe a week after the end of the month, because then a lot of things payments will have cleared, statements will start to come through. You can get reports from your booking systems and your bank accounts and all of that, so that you can start to and I know the accounting softwares do a lot of the reconciliations and things as well, but they don't really help you with the cash flow management or the budgeting side of it. And they certainly will not do that for you in your personal life. So if you're a business owner and you're running two sets of financials, essentially your business finances and your personal finances, or if you just have the personal finances, you still need to be able to see at least what's coming in, what's coming out each month. And see, at first, just do a bit of a sense check. Does it feel is that what you would have expected to see coming in? And is that what you would have expected to see going out? And just if it's and this is where you really need to, as the initial stages, trust your intuition. And if it's not what you're expecting, you're going to have to start to delve into it. And you can use a spreadsheet, although you can use Google Sheets, you can use Excel. I'm an Excel girl. I love it. I use it for so many things. I even use it to do itineraries for holidays. But hey, that's me. But you do, even if you just want to handwrite it out, but some way or other, you need to be having a look at, even if you just go through your app on your phone for your bank and just go, yep, 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 yep. Oh, what's that? Okay, all right. Well, that's higher than I thought it would be. Wonder why. A lot of your insurance companies now, they'll send you maybe a month to 2 months before your renewals are due. If you pay annually, like I do, or if you pay monthly, when the annual kind of part's coming up, they'll tell you, because there'll probably be an increase. And then you can start to look at, okay, all right, what's my excess? What am I covered for? Do I need to have a chat to my insurance company to see, did they have a loyalty discount? How can we look at reducing the premium? And I do that every year, and it's amazing how much money you can actually save, especially when you talk about, you might have done one of these online quotes for another an insurance company because they're pretty easy to come by, and then you can get a bit of a comparison. I actually did that one year, and they said, "Oh, so who did you do the comparison with?" I said, "Oh, I prefer to not say, but I did actually put all of these elements in. There may be some slight differences here and there, but ultimately it's substantially less than what I'm currently paying. So what can you do to help me with that?" And you're the client. So there's all these things, and we have this fear about, oh my gosh, what does it mean that I'm asking for a discount, or does it mean that I'm mean? It means you're thrifty and you're good with your money, because it's better in your pocket than someone else's, because then you can actually do something more with it. You can maybe buy the equipment that you need for your business, or you can go on a holiday, or you can put it into your emergency fund because, maybe that's a bit lower than you'd like it to be. So ultimately, just giving it some focus, some attention, and just little bits every month. You can start with maybe an hour a month and just looking at your finances and having a look through your bank statements and seeing what's coming in. Look at your accounting system if you'd like, or at least ask your accountant to run a report for you that you can sort of look through. I personally found a lot of the accounting system reports too high level. I can't get into the detail as much. The amount of times I've asked clients, accountants or bookkeepers for information, and they just give me this rolled up thing. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't use that. I need like the detail because I need to know what's actually going in line by line, day by day, and out line by line, day by day. Because without that, it's really hard to actually have the right information to see what's going on. And then you can start to sort of see trends and stuff as well. You might notice grocery bills are going up. Yes, because that's a big one. Fuel even, and you could look at ways to maybe carpool for, a couple of things a week, even with your groceries. How can you try and make more food or eat through what you've got? I did a pantry clean out about 2 weeks ago. I was actually looking for something. I didn't end up finding it, but it made me clean out the whole pantry. It felt really, really good. But I was like, oh, I've got all this stuff here. I can actually make food with that. I looked in the freezer and I've got stuff I can make. I thought, why don't I eat amounts of food that I've already got, rather than, meal planning every week and buying all these new ingredients to make the meals? How about I make the meals based around what I've already got, and just do things a little bit differently. It does take a little bit of extra time though, which is why that attention comes into it. So I now have a garden that is at the moment free of weeds, low on bugs. I'm not going to say free of bugs because I don't think I'm ever going to get there, but low on bugs. And I've mulched it all to try and minimize the amount of weeds that are going to come through, even though I know they probably will. But I'm going there every day. I'm checking on my plants. They've been watered. So I'm tending my garden. And I tend my financial garden, and I focus on the relationships. And sometimes that is hard, especially when, as if you're living with a spouse, you're in and out all day. Like, even like my husband's away for a few weeks at the moment. So it's trying to keep a connection going and communicate and things like that. And when normal day to day, there's meetings and there's ins and outs, and I do most of my daughter's drop-offs and pickups to school, and then we're off to activities, and then we're doing this. So it's sort of like ships in the night sometimes, but you've got to still make some time. And we always try and make time for a family dinner. So each night, no matter what's going on, we always sit down and we eat dinner together. And we try and, extract what I can from my daughter. Usually comes up just before bedtime, I might add. Which you might relate to that as well. It's like, I'm trying to get you to sleep, but now you've come out with something that's happened in the day, and I don't want to cut it short, but at the same time, I want you to go to bed. But yeah, so when it comes out, it comes out. But making the space for all of that and giving that attention and that focus, and it's really, really important. So my task, or my ask for you, is to find at least an hour in your schedule that's non-negotiable space, once a month at the very least. You could do fortnightly if you wanted, but let's start with monthly, where you're just going to tend your financial situation and make sure that everything is set up the way you want it to be set up. And if you don't think it is and you're not sure, feel free to drop me a DM, and I can share with you how I do things and what's worked for me in the past as well. But yeah, I hope that's helpful. And it's, like I said, it's probably nothing new, but at least it's a reminder to help you get to do the thing and spend the time, the attention and focus on your money, because it will help you in the long run, and it'll help you get set up for the future. So with that, I will leave you, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.